The Brave Little Squirrel. Chapter 1. The Forest Home. In the heart of an ancient forest, where the trees towered high and the air was filled with the songs of birds, lived a brave little squirrel named Nutty. Nutty was known throughout the forest for his adventurous spirit and kind heart. He lived with his family in a cozy nest high up in a majestic oak tree. Nutty spent his days gathering acorns, playing with his friends, and exploring the vast forest. He loved discovering new places and meeting different animals. The forest was his playground, and he cherished every moment spent in its embrace. Chapter 2. The Storm. One autumn evening, as Nutty was returning home with his cheeks full of acorns, dark clouds gathered in the sky. The wind began to howl, and the leaves rustled ominously. Nutty hurried back to his nest, sensing that a storm was coming. As night fell, the storm unleashed its fury. Thunder roared, and lightning lit up the sky. The wind whipped through the trees, causing branches to snap and leaves to scatter. Nutty and his family huddled together, their nest swaying with the force of the storm. When morning came, the forest was a different place. Trees were uprooted, branches lay strewn across the ground, and the once vibrant forest looked devastated. Nutty ventured out of his nest to survey the damage, his heart heavy with worry. Chapter 3. The Rescue. As Nutty explored the forest, he heard a faint cry for help. Following the sound, he came upon a small burrow that had been buried under fallen branches and debris. Inside, a family of rabbits was trapped, unable to escape. Without hesitation, Nutty sprang into action. He called out to his friends, and soon, a group of forest animals had gathered to help. Together, they worked tirelessly to clear the debris and free the trapped rabbits. With a final push, they managed to lift a large branch, and the rabbits emerged, trembling but unharmed. The mother rabbit, her eyes filled with gratitude, hugged Nutty tightly. "Thank you, Nutty. You saved us," she said, tears of relief streaming down her face. Nutty smiled. "We all did it together. This forest is our home, and we must look out for one another." Chapter 4. The Rebuilding. The storm had left the forest in ruins, but Nutty knew that with determination and teamwork, they could restore it. He gathered the animals and spoke to them about the importance of coming together to rebuild their home. "We must all do our part," Nutty said. "Each of us has a role to play in making our forest beautiful and safe again." The animals nodded in agreement. They began by clearing away the fallen branches and debris. The beavers used their strong teeth to cut wood for new shelters, while the birds gathered twigs and leaves to repair nests. Nutty and his friends planted new trees and scattered seeds to help the forest regrow. Days turned into weeks, and slowly but surely, the forest began to recover. The trees started to sprout new leaves, flowers bloomed, and the sounds of laughter and chatter returned. The forest was coming back to life, thanks to the hard work and unity of its inhabitants. Chapter 5. The Celebration. To celebrate their success, the animals decided to hold a grand festival. They decorated the forest with colorful flowers and leaves, and prepared a feast with the fruits of their labor. There was music and dancing, and the air was filled with joy and laughter. Nutty was the guest of honor, and as he looked around at the happy faces of his friends and family, he felt a deep sense of pride and contentment. The forest was not just a place, it was a community, a family bound together by love and cooperation. As the sun set and the festival continued, the animals gathered around Nutty. The wise old owl, perched on a branch above, spoke on behalf of the forest. "Nutty, you have shown us the true meaning of bravery and kindness. You reminded us that together, We can overcome any challenge. We are forever grateful to you. Nutty blushed and smiled. It was a team effort. We all played our part, and that's what makes our forest so special. And so, the forest of ancient trees and vibrant life flourished once more. The animals lived in harmony, always ready to help one another and protect their home. Nutty's bravery and the unity of the forest animals became a legend, a story passed down through generations, teaching the values of courage, kindness, and community.
The Secret Garden. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled among rolling green hills, there lived a young girl named Listeners. Listeners was known for her bright smile and curious nature. She loved to explore the woods surrounding her village, always searching for new adventures. One day, while wandering through the forest, Listeners stumbled upon a hidden pathway that seemed to lead deeper into the woods than she had ever been before. Intrigued, she followed the path as it wound its way through tall oak trees and lush ferns. As she walked, Listeners noticed a faint glow filtering through the branches ahead. Curiosity piqued, she quickened her pace until she emerged into a clearing bathed in golden sunlight. Before her stood the most enchanting sight she had ever seen, a secret garden filled with vibrant flowers of every hue imaginable. Listeners gasped in wonder as she stepped into the garden, feeling as though she had entered a magical realm. Butterflies fluttered around her, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of roses and lavender. In the center of the garden, there was a small fountain with crystal clear water cascading into a pool inhabited by colorful fish. As she explored further, Listeners came upon an old stone bench nestled beneath a towering willow tree. Sitting on the bench was an elderly woman with silver hair and twinkling eyes. She introduced herself as Amara, the guardian of the secret garden. Amara explained that the garden was a place of peace and healing, hidden away from the world to protect its beauty. She invited Listeners to visit whenever she wished, sharing stories and wisdom about the plants and animals that thrived there. Over the weeks and months that followed, Listeners visited the secret garden regularly. She learned how to tend to the flowers, how to listen to the songs of birds, and how to meditate beside the tranquil pond. Each visit filled her heart with joy and her mind with knowledge. One day, as Listeners sat beside the fountain, she noticed a lone daisy growing amidst a tangle of weeds. Remembering Amara's teachings about nurturing life, she carefully removed the weeds and tended to the daisy with love and patience. Weeks passed, and the daisy flourished, its petals opening to reveal a burst of pure white against the green foliage. Listeners felt a sense of accomplishment and pride, knowing that she had helped bring beauty to the garden. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Listeners sat with Amara on the stone bench, reflecting on her journey. She realized that the secret garden had not only taught her about plants and animals but had also taught her valuable lessons about kindness, patience, and the importance of preserving beauty in the world. With a grateful heart, Listeners bid farewell to Amara, knowing that she would carry the memories of the secret garden with her always. As she walked back to her village, she felt a deep sense of peace and contentment, knowing that she had found a hidden treasure that would forever enrich her life. And so, The story of listeners and the secret garden became a legend in the village, inspiring generations to seek out beauty and wonder in the world around them.
The Golden Tree. Chapter 1, The Promise. In the quaint village of Oakwood, surrounded by lush green fields and dense forests, lived a humble farmer named Elias. He was known for his kindness and honesty. Elias lived with his wife, Maria, and their two children, Lily and Tom. The family lived a simple yet happy life, relying on their small piece of land for sustenance. One sunny morning, as Elias was plowing his field, he stumbled upon a glistening object buried in the soil. He bent down and gently brushed the dirt away, revealing a tiny golden seed. Amazed by his discovery, Elias carefully placed the seed in his pocket and continued his work, eager to show his family. That evening, as the family gathered around the dinner table, Elias shared his discovery. "Look what I found today," he said, holding up the golden seed. The children's eyes widened in wonder. "Father, what kind of seed is that?" Tom asked, his voice filled with curiosity. "I don't know, my boy," Elias replied. "But it feels special. I think we should plant it and see what happens." With unanimous excitement, the family decided to plant the seed in their garden. They chose a spot near the old oak tree, where the soil was rich and fertile. Elias carefully placed the seed in the ground, covering it with soil and watering it gently. Chapter 2, The Miracle. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The golden seed sprouted and grew into a magnificent tree with leaves that shimmered like gold. The villagers were astonished by the tree's beauty and flocked to Elias' garden to witness the miracle. As the tree grew taller, it bore fruits that were unlike any the villagers had ever seen. The fruits were golden and radiated a soft, warm light. Elias and his family marveled at the sight and wondered if the fruits were edible. One day, Elias decided to taste a fruit. He plucked one from the tree and took a small bite. To his amazement, the fruit was delicious and filled him with an overwhelming sense of peace and happiness. He shared the fruit with his family, and they too experienced the same feeling of contentment. Word of the miraculous tree spread far and wide. People from neighboring villages and towns came to see the golden tree and taste its fruits. Elias and his family welcomed everyone with open arms, sharing the fruits generously. Chapter 3, The Temptation. Among the visitors was a wealthy merchant named Victor. He was known for his greed and cunning ways. When Victor saw the golden tree, he was immediately consumed by a desire to possess it. He approached Elias with an offer. "Elias, my friend," Victor said, feigning kindness. "This tree of yours is truly remarkable. I would like to buy it from you. Name your price, and I will pay it." Elias shook his head. "This tree is not for sale, Victor. It is a gift from nature, and its fruits are meant to be shared with everyone." Victor's eyes narrowed. He was not used to being refused. "Think about it, Elias. With the money I offer, you could live a life of luxury. You and your family would never have to worry about anything again." But Elias stood firm. "No amount of money can buy the happiness this tree brings. It is a treasure for all, not for one man's greed." Angered by Elias' refusal, Victor left the village, vowing to find a way to claim the tree for himself. Chapter 4, The Test. One night, as the village slept peacefully, Victor returned with a group of men. Under the cover of darkness, they attempted to uproot the golden tree. However, as soon as they touched it, the tree emitted a blinding light, and they were thrown back by an invisible force. The commotion woke the villagers, who rushed to Elias's garden. They saw Victor and his men lying on the ground, dazed and frightened. Elias approached the tree, his heart heavy with sadness. "Why did you try to steal the tree, Victor?" Elias asked. "Its fruits are freely given to all who come with good intentions." Victor hung his head in shame. "I was blinded by greed, Elias. I am sorry for my actions." Elias sighed. The golden tree is a reminder that true happiness comes from sharing and kindness, not from hoarding wealth. Let this be a lesson for all of us. Chapter 5: The Wisdom. From that day on, Victor changed his ways. He became a generous man, helping those in need and sharing his wealth with the less fortunate. The villagers, inspired by Elias' wisdom and the golden tree's miracle, embraced the values of kindness and generosity. The golden tree continued to thrive, its fruits bringing joy and peace to everyone who tasted them. Elias and his family remained humble and content, knowing that they had been entrusted with a precious gift. And so, the village of Oakwood flourished, a beacon of hope and compassion for all who heard its story. The golden tree stood tall and proud, a testament to the power of kindness and the beauty of a selfless heart.